Welcome to this week's edition of Right on the Money with Tom Mosley of Mosley Wealth Management. I'm 𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗧. Thank you again for joining us. Keep those emails and even fan mail coming in for you, Tom. A lot of people have a ton of great questions, and we always say that you are the greatest educator when it comes to investments, specifically retirement. Today I'm excited because we're going to focus on women in retirement, not just females, but if you are a man who has a daughter, a niece, please listen very closely. You say something very profound at your education seminars, Tom, and it's retirement planning is more crucial for women than men, and I'm intrigued. What do you mean by that?
Well, stay intrigued, okay? That's what we're going to talk about in this whole first segment. Why? Yeah. And I want to not just say that, but I want to build a case so that you will understand that it is really more crucial. Now, if you are a woman listening to this, it's going to be important for you to hear it so you'll know how much more important it is. But if you are a man who's married to a woman like I am that I dearly, dearly love, and I realize that all of these things are true about Susan as well as all the women that are out there, it's really important that you understand this. Now, I want to tell you about a lady, I'll call her Myrtle. The first time I ever heard about Myrtle, I heard she was 81 years old, she was the mayor of Rome, and she was my dad's girlfriend, okay? Now, if you're thinking not Rome, Italy, you're just dreaming, all right? But there's a little town north of Dallas-Fort Worth called Rome, Texas, and she was frustrated with trying to get something approved when she was in her upper 70s, and they made fun of her, so she said, well, I'll just run for office, and she ran for office at 80 and became the mayor of Rome, Texas.
Amazing.
She was really glad she got a truck stop to locate there in the city of Rome. But Myrtle, and I'll have to try to really work to make sure and call her Myrtle because I don't want to defame her or anything. Myrtle, come to find out after she married my dad, and they were only married like 14 months until my dad passed away. But in the state of Texas, she has a homestead right to stay in the house as long as she's alive. So come to find out, while my dad was still alive, she was $10,000 in debt in credit cards. She was $35,000 underneath on a mortgage on the house that she wanted to sell because that was at a bad time. And that was around around 2010, 2011 when houses were that way. So my dad paid her out of that. My dad had resources, paid her out of that, left her $250,000 to pay the taxes and pay the mortgage on the house that she still to this day lives in Haltom City, Texas. And so for the first year or two, it was fine. I own the house. She's paying the taxes and mortgage. She has $250,000, but over a period of time, she spent it on trips to Europe and cruises, and she would not just go herself. She'd take the whole family. She had never amassed any wealth, so therefore when it was handed to her, like a lottery winner, she didn't know how to deal with it. And so now she calls me, and I do this for her because my dad would want me to do it for her because he loved her. I'm not saying that she wasn't a mom replacement for me or anything like that, but my dad dearly loved her and she helped my dad. But my dad would want me to do it. I pay the taxes, I pay the insurance, I pay the repairs. She lives in it basically totally 100% free because all she has is social. She's back down to where she was because she couldn't handle the money properly. Now let me give you some stats on this. Women, it's more important for you in retirement, okay? And I have another reason. I have 4 daughters and I have a wife, and I want to make sure that they're taken care of financially, and the chances are all 5 of those human beings are going to be here that I dearly love after I'm gone. There's some good news for women. Let me go over that. There's 10 million businesses that are owned by women nowadays. I guarantee that's more than in the history of our country.
Absolutely.
And congratulations for that. 40% of the households that have over $600,000 of assets in the household, it's controlled by women. That's pretty huge. 83% of the purchases made in America are made by women. And guys, don't get too complacent. A woman makes a purchase up to a maximum of about $250 on the average without consulting the husband. The husband makes purchases up to $1,250 without consulting the wife.
Interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, they spend a lot of money, they purchase a lot of things, all for our good, but we do the bigger items. And women that are 50 plus control $19 trillion worth of assets. Now, there's some bad news that you need to know about too, though. And this is why financial retirement planning is far more important for you if you're female than it is for the male in general as a population. Women live longer, 5 to 7 years. A couple of weeks ago, we did a show on longevity and living longer and that fear of running out of money before you die. Ladies, you should be more concerned about that than the man you might be married to or the partner you're with who might be male, because you're probably going to live 5 to 7 years longer. Another stat, if you're married, you probably married as average, nobody's average, but as average, a man who's 2 to 3 years older than you. So you may be on your own 7 to 10 years at the end of your retirement plan. And if that retirement plan doesn't work, guess who's going to be piloting the plane at that point? You see how it's going to impact you. So know that 45% of marriages do end in divorce, and a lot of people never get remarried. The average age of American widowhood, I was so shocked at this that I went back to this big box firm that did this study, 59 years of age. Because sometimes men die of industrial accidents or just other accidents. Heart attacks are more prominent with men, though women do have them, and heart issues are very important for women. So there's all kinds of issues. Social Security, you think, well, that's probably okay. Well, women are out of the labor force, according to this survey, 11 and a half years. For what reason?
To raise your children.
To raise your children.
A few weeks ago, your son Travis said exactly that.
Right.
Your wife stayed home from when he was 3 years old till about 12. So there's that gap in those years of Social Security that Susan's not going to have.
So all of those things mount up. Now here's the biggest one. For those of you who are single, you're single. You know the issues you have to face. But for those of you who are married who think, well, we're always going to be together. The average married couple that are both 65, men, you're going to have an 80% chance of continuing to be married when you pass away. Guess what the survey said? Ladies, you're going to have an 80% chance that when you pass away, you're going to be single. That's why I say, and I validate this, it is far more important if you've been listening to this program or we've said something, or you're sitting there saying, I don't have a financial plan, I don't have the retirement blueprint that you talk about on this program all the time. It is, as you said, my statement, it's more important for women to do sound financial planning than it is for men, because there is a very strong chance you're going to be by yourself, if you're not already, when you pass away at the end, the last few years. Here's what you do. I'm going to first of all, listen to the rest of the program. We're going to go into some other issues that are particular for women. But you need to pick up the phone and you need to say, I want to work with a firm that really has how women and the issues that women face in financial planning, how they deal with things, and to have women at heart when they're dealing with people in retirement. You need to, I've tried to let some of my fellow guys out there and teach them what to do, and they'll go do a seminar to women and they'll talk about baseball and football and they'll come out and they'll say, it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because they don't know how to address you and your issues. We do. And the 6 of our advisors here at Mosley Wealth Management stand ready to help you, ladies. And guys, you're married and you say, we need a plan, so when I'm gone, I want to make sure she's taken care of. You need to call as well, 866-709-1462, 866-709-1462. You can read it on the screen. There's a barcode there. Let us know who you are and we'll reach out. We'll put you on our calendar and we'll try our best to help you.
Absolutely, and every week we save about 20 positions on our calendar to make sure that our listeners, our viewers, that is you, to make sure that you can get in. Today, this week, we're talking about women and how important it is for you to really look ahead at your retirement. We'll be right back.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Right on the Money. Today we are focusing on women's needs in retirement, and not just for you females, but for any of you guys who love someone, of course, a daughter, niece, a wife. Risk is something that affects all of us, but do you think risk is worse for women?
Oh, absolutely.
Why?
Let me tell you why. Let's just focus totally. First of all, on if you look at risk, and I'm not trying to typecast here, okay? I'm really not. But in surveys that have been taken, 80% of the time in a marriage, the women's risk tolerance is lower than a man's risk tolerance.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny too? It's so many times when I hear that and they first start talking to me in that first Envision appointment where we start with, I don't know if you can see this, but it's blank. We start with a blank piece of paper and we say, where are you? What are you trying to accomplish? And it's so common, Rebecca, for somebody that, well, I'm the risk taker and she's not. And I can almost bet with myself what's going to happen. And then we get to assets and we get to how much they've got saved for retirement. He's got saved and how much she's got saved. Well, I've taken a lot of risk through the years, and I only have, one time a guy told me, he said, I've got $47,000 saved for retirement. And she never knew because she was in a marriage, but they never shared those kind of things. And I remember very specifically, she had $728,000, and she was the one telling me, I don't take risk, I'm real conservative. So you get what you get what you sow. When you sow wild oats, you can't ask for crop failure, if you know what I'm saying. So here she is. He's taking the risk and has almost nothing. She's not taking the risk and she has a lot. But here's why it's more important. Let me just go through some things. A lot of times people, when they come in, they don't know what risk they're taking.
Amen.
Now, how do we find that out? In that Envision, we simply find out where you are, where you want to go. But if you want to go further with us, we offer complimentary, free of charge, an analysis where we take your statements that you bring in and all of the things that you're invested in, and we're able to send them to Morningstar. I can say that they're a neutral rating agency. They don't sell mutual funds or stocks or anything at all. They just do reports. And they're going to tell us what kind of risk you're taking and what kind of results you're getting, the return that you're getting. They're going to tell us all kind of things in about a 15 to 21 page, how diversified you are.
The fees.
The fees.
That's what blew me away when I looked at actually what we were paying in the big box.
Everything's got fleas, Rebecca. Fees, I'm sorry, okay?
You said that on purpose,
yes,
didn't you?
Yes, I did. Everything's got, well, fleas are just those little gnats that eat away at you.
Eating away at you, and you don't even know it.
But if you're not careful, they'll eat a lot away. So we offer to do that analysis, and people are shocked, particularly ladies, when we come back and they say, well, I'm very conservative, and sure enough, their risk score comes back when we do another analysis and they find out what their risk tolerance is. Maybe it's 40, maybe it's 42, but then their portfolio comes back at 86.
Wow.
Well, when the market's going really, really well, they like the 86.
Sure.
Because they're getting the market. But Warren Buffett said when the market goes down, it's like the tide going out. You find out who's swimming naked. And what we did in the last year and a half is a lot of you've gone down. I've seen portfolios where people said, we told our broker at the big box firm to be very conservative, and they're down 43%. One of them was down 48%. Had lost, and this guy was 74 years old.
It's terrible.
So first of all, you need to know how much risk you're taking, and also I mentioned you need to know the risk that you can tolerate. You need to make sure you're diversified. We talked recently on a show about systemic diversification. You don't just need to be diversified in the market, but you may be needing to be in a different system. People say, well, if I go to the bank, I can't make any money. If I go to the stock market, I could lose it. If I go to an annuity, it's locked in. Well, maybe a combination of all of those things would build a good plan. If I'm going to build a house for you, I'm not going to say, what kind of doors do you want me to use for the whole house?
Right.
You're going to have doors. You're going to have windows. You're going to have walls. You're going to have the exterior. You're going to have the roof. And all of those are decisions to make as to what kind of product you're going to use to build that house. Whereas people just throw all their money in the market and say, well, I'm in small cap, I'm in mid cap, I'm in large cap, and I'm in, you know, baseball cap, whatever it is, you're in there, and that's all well and good, but you're still diversified within one system. Maybe you need to take that lumber yard and build a house. Your fees, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
You need to know what inflation is going to do to what you have. See, these are all risks that you're taking. Taxes. Now, ladies, if you're going to live longer, if you're married, if you're single, you already know this. If you're single, you're married filing single, and your brackets, instead of getting to 24% at $320,000, you get to 24% to 32% at $325,000. You get to it at $160,000. Instead of getting to 22% at $90,000, you get to it a little under $50,000, and you're already in the 22% tax bracket. Whew, I'm glad I'm married, you might say, if you're a lady. But if your husband passes away, next year you file married filing jointly. The following year, you go to the single tax brackets. So your brackets are cut in half, and if you've still got those big IRAs and you haven't done tax planning, you may be paying a wallop. We call it in our industry the widow's penalty. Because normally it's the lady, about 80% of the time, and normally the penalty is you have the same amount of IRAs because you inherit your spouse's IRA. This also works, guys, when you're the one that's left and you inherit your wife's IRA. Yeah. But you still have the taxes to pay. You still have all of those things that you've got to incur, and your brackets have gotten cut in half. So it's a really big thing. Longevity, we've already said longevity is an issue for everybody, but it's really an issue for ladies because it's not uncommon for ladies to be in their 90s. Last week in the office, I had a couple of early 70s in the office, and they kept looking at their watch, and I finally asked this lady, I want to know, are we under any time constraint? And she said, yeah, I've got to go pick up my mom and dad. Oh. Because they had to go take them to the doctor. They're in a home. They're in their upper 90s, well, 95 and 97, and they had to go take them. So longevity could be an issue. Right. And taking care of your parents, ladies, could be an issue that it seems to always fall into the lap of the lady and not the man.
You read my mind. I was actually going to say I watched my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother do this for their family members, and it was always the woman who was the caregiver. So that's another thing on top of what more responsibility that we could be handling alone.
One of the things I love about having you on the show is you bring in reality, because that's what we try to do. I mean, we're not talking about pie in the sky. We're not talking about some kind of trick investment or chasing some shiny object or trying to just get you in and make some money off of you, and then who cares? We're trying to make sure you have a plan that lasts for the rest of your life. And ladies, you're probably going to be the one left, if you're married, holding the bag, piloting the plane, and it either flies as long as you do, or if it crashes, you're probably going to be the one in the pilot seat. So here's what we need you to do. We can help. We have helped hundreds of ladies do this, but you've got to pick up the phone and call. Guys, call for your wife. Come in with your wife. Get a plan that's going to outlast you guys, and it's going to last as long as your wife lives. One guy called me to his bedside one time when he's about to pass away. Aww. And I got over, and he actually grabbed me by my tie, and he said, and I'll use Myrtle. He said, you're sure Myrtle's okay? Because I'm leaving. And he passed away about 2 hours later. That's how bad he was. But his biggest concern on his deathbed was to make sure that his wife was taken care of. I can help you. We can help you. But we can't help you unless you call 866-709-1462. 866-709-1462.
And there really is no risk, there is no cost, there's no obligation. This really is just that first step to get to know each other. And especially today, we are focusing on women and how it's even more important for you to plan ahead. Give us a call, 866-709-1462. More with Tom Mosley right after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back. I'm Rebecca Powers here with Tom Mosley. We call him the professor around the station because he teaches thousands of families how to become independent. I want to keep moving on about today. We're focusing on women, but I really want to point out, Tom, because you're very humble, that you are a fiduciary. If you were with a big box, we're not going to say the names, but you know the big names on skyscrapers and that host golf tournaments, they do one specific thing. I would go and venture to say you're not getting the holistic view. That is so crucially important. I want people to understand that's why you do that first 2 or 3 appointments at absolutely no charge, because you have zero conflict of interest. And the big boxes are inherently filled with conflicts of interest.
I absolutely think so. My dilemma is some of those guys who work there are really good friends.
Yeah.
But I recently have added 2 brand new advisors to me. They've been in the industry for a while and they're very well qualified. One's a CFP and they've worked for the big box firms, and I pull them from a big box firm. And in the time they've been with me, they've both come to me at different times and said, oh my goodness, the difference is night and day in that we were taken into sales meetings. We were told, sell this product, not this product. And we would groan because this was a better product, but there wasn't enough money in this. And they might have to close that mutual fund if they didn't sell into it. And these are just stories that I've heard from people who've worked there. And trust me, I know a lot of the people who work there, they're good people, but they're just in a sales mode. They're just in a broker's mode, which is a broker's, and there's all kind of people that have tried to make brokers become fiduciaries. And they've always fought that off for a lot of reasons. They don't want to do that. But brokers just have to be responsible that what they sold you was not a bad product. What we as a fiduciary have to be responsible that we have put you in something that is in your best interest. So it's a really big difference. There's one book out on it that I think explains it best. It's called Same Side Selling, where instead of them on one side of the table and you on the other, like at a car dealership when they're trying to get you to buy their car as opposed to the car down the street. Same side selling would be, I'm on your side of the table. Let's get the best deal we can. And that's why we shop every single thing we've got.
Yeah.
I want to talk for about a minute or two about income for ladies. And I want to hone in on Social Security, okay? Because we mentioned this already, but just some things. Ladies, if you're getting ready to retire and you're wondering whether to stop work or not, here's some things we've run into. We've looked at Social Security printouts, not just the first page that tells you how much you're going to get at what age, But like page 2 or 3 on that 4-page printout, you need to look at that. You might have worked only 31 years or 32 years. And so just like a quiz, if you missed a class and you missed a quiz and you didn't fill it in, they'll give you a big fat 0 for those years. Working 1 or 2 or 3 more years could significantly raise your Social Security. And as we talked earlier, you might have been off for raising babies or doing whatever you want. The other thing is, you need to know with Social Security that if you're married, there's a breadwinner and a non-breadwinner. Well, when one passes away, and we've already sort of shown you the stats that it's usually the man, that when one passes away, it doesn't matter who's got what. It's not always the man who has the highest, but the lowest Social Security goes away and the breadwinner stays. All the more reason, if you're married, guys, I'm talking to you now, to let your Social Security ride and grow at 8% a year. So that's the one that stays whenever you're gone. It still stays for your spouse and they have the money. If you're divorced, there's benefits you can get off of a previously divorced spouse. And the Social Security break-even point for ladies is even more important because there's a bigger chance you're going to live past that 79 or 80. Now, I hit you with a fire hose right there. Boom, boom, boom. And it's on one specific topic, but it, better than anything I can show you, demonstrates how a lady needs to look at retirement planning differently. You put, as I used to say, an emphasis on a different syllable. Yeah, exactly. Because the situation that you are likely to be in is going to be different. You have to work with somebody who understands that. Don't work with somebody when you go with your husband and they talk to your husband, and they would never do this, but they do this symbolically almost. And do you have any questions, sweetie? Or they turn to you as an afterthought.
Yes.
And they're always talking to the guy to set something up. You are important. You need to know what's going on in your family finances because you're probably going to be the one that's piloting the plane at the end. And you need to have somebody that recognizes that and builds your plan with that in mind. 866-709-1462. A whole team of people here ready to help, but you've got to reach out to us.
And it's that personal relationship. You can call anytime. It won't be the big box experience where you may be put on hold and never even know the name of your advisor. We're so happy you were with us today. We hope to see you again next time. Thanks for joining us.